This is Candid Conversations with Dr. Mayfield, a podcast that resources parents, families, and friends with tools to have important conversations about mental and emotional health. This podcast is brought to you by Mayfield Counseling Centers, helping you find clarity, hope, and purpose. Thank you for joining us on Candid Conversations. We are so glad to be joined once again by the Suarezes. The Suarezes. No, I did it right the first time. We were talking about it at the end of the last episode. How would you add the extra is? I think you do. Well,
you're going to get a lot of comments from the grammar people.
Oh, my brother-in-law's going to get me. But
what do you do after a Z?
Yeah.
Sophie S.
I think so.
You're right, man.
Well, and it's your last name. You should be telling me.
You're a keeper.
We had both of you on last week to talk about kind of the Sexo Divino for dummies. Like, what does divine sex look like, and why don't we talk about it that way?
Why is it important to talk about it? Yeah.
And this week, we really want to get into some more like action steps of if we're starting to have those conversations. That's probably step one. And now, like, what can we do to activate change and growth and health?
So I think before we go there, I even want to just ask, you guys do this all the time, and you're doing intensives right now in COVID. You're doing virtual intensives, but if it wasn't COVID, you'd be traveling all over the country doing intensives and that kind of stuff. So what are you all seeing as kind of some of the major themes that are coming up that maybe our listeners will be like, yeah, that's me. Like I can relate.
You said something last week about shame. You know, there's a lot of resources and things we can do in therapy, but until people overcome that first, we don't have access to them. So part of what we're seeing is that the church is starting to change in sending a message that we cannot handle everything in-house as pastors, as ministers.
What? Really?
We're seeing a little bit more of partnership with churches that they send us their couples. Actually, leaders and pastors are coming. So I would encourage couples to listen, go to God and tell him to give you the courage to get over the shame, at least to reach out,
right?
At least to, let's talk about it. Let's reach to somebody that can set us. Now, the problem in there is that many times people reach out in the church and they find more shame.
Sure, because the church is not equipped or prepared.
Or a quick fix, and they want to put a lid on it. Give him more sex.
They just want to pray, okay, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, and give him more sex, and then he's not going to do any more, pornography.
That makes my blood boil.
It's part of the process, but it's not a fix.
Right.
And I think for a lot of individuals stuck in that shame, because I have struggled with shame pretty intimately in my journey, and recognizing that the confession, the coming clean, the entering into the light can almost feel like death in our faith, where we are told that after death comes something better. After death comes something wonderful and something to be hoped for and expected. And yet to get there, we have to die. And death is scary and feels dangerous and risky and something that we don't want to pursue. And that moment of confessing, of entering into the light, can feel that way of this feels like I am dying, right? And this feels like I am going to give up everything and everything is going to change. And while that's true, it's hard to put your faith fully in the fact that what comes next is better.
Or somebody's going to handle it well.
Yes.
I'm going to give you my classic phrase. Okay, God's idea of marriage, he was so wise. I think he created marriage to kill you. Ooh. Oh, wait, what did you say, Jorge? Yeah, God created marriage to kill you, because we so much preach about dying to self and whatever. So let me just give them a partner that would help them die
on a daily basis.
Because you know what, the greatest life that you can obtain comes from dying in your marriage. That's when you learn to give up your own needs and focus on your partner. And something that, going back to the initial question, I think most of our clients, so many of our clients are coming to us seeking help because they are married and they feel like lonely. there's this sense of loneliness, and it's like we are roommates. We don't feel like I don't feel like I have someone supporting me, supporting my dreams. So it's very stagnant. My relationship is dead.
Very mechanical.
So they come to us like, how can we fix this? And then we start working, in a process of, let's just define, first of all, the areas that you're lacking. What are the areas of connection? What are you not imparting into your relationship that is keeping you stagnant that way? So I think many of our couples, they come with that need. Just to
they think it's sex, or they think it's an affair, but actually there's something deeper. And that's the good thing, that as a professional, you can go and find the deeper root issues, address those, but people need to be patient, because this process takes time. You know, people need to process and let things sink in.
Well, have you found, so some of the greatest moments in marriage are in the intimacy, in the culmination in sex, right? I think some of the deepest hurts can be there as well. Right. And so do you find with your clients, just kind of over the years that you've done this, that there is a lot of mistrust and a lot of hurt in this, so the patience piece, I was picking up on that a little bit, that the patience piece is because there's got to be a lot of healing first.
Yes. And trust is not something that we build overnight. Trust takes a lot of little steps constantly to rebuild, and taking risks. But we're not going to take a huge risk. We need to take little risks every day to kind of like to exercise that muscle. There are practices that when you deal with adultery or with things of that nature, it's very typical to use polygraphing to rebuild trust like instantly. We feel that, you can't build trust like that.
Right.
I mean, there are situations, very rare, that it might be a helpful tool for something, but really for building trust, it's not what it does.
Because what trust is coming from that?
The use of polygraph.
Yes. Yes. So, we need to understand that if we're going to engage in this process, in this journey of recovery, of healing, we need to be fair to each other and allow that time. People heal differently.
I mean, love is taking a risk. You don't know what's going to come out of the other person to you, and yet you have to offer something to be on the same page. I think that's so true. We use, of course, I think as any good practice would do, we use Gottman stuff.
Love Gottman.
Gottman is just amazing, helping, enhancing communication and all that. And part of what they teach is that the main structures of a sound relationship come from trust and commitment. So you need both things together, interacting and actively working to heal the relationship or to build it upon a good foundation.
And if you have one and not the other, you can't really have one without the other.
You kind of need both.
You can't have commitment without trust, and you can't have trust without commitment.
But it's sustainably.
Exactly.
But it's trusting yourself, because it's not just trusting that my partner is not going to be unfaithful.
Right.
I think it's trusting that you can offer what it takes to bring the relationship to a healthy place. Some people lack of that confidence, and they're already sabotaging the outcome.
Right.
I mean, we could have 20 episodes on trust alone. Because trusting that I can be myself with my flaws, and you're not gonna reject me because it's ugly.
Right.
To have that trust that, I can be myself with you. And if we cannot be ourselves, I mean, just think about it. If you cannot be yourself with your spouse,
right?
I mean, you cannot be yourself with anybody.
When we've talked on this show before, that there's this belief that I think Mark and I have, and you can disagree with me if I'm putting words in your mouth, that
we've been doing this long enough.
Right? At the core of every person, at this point, we've made it long. There's a core part of every single person that just wants to be seen, known, heard.
Yes.
And there's something very poetic and beautiful about literally being naked and unobscured from someone, and being seen, heard, known, and accepted. and welcomed and
beautiful.
loved and desired in the midst of that unobscured nakedness.
Well, that
Very
is
poetic,
100.
but it's very true. That's
And
so
scriptural.
true.
Yeah.
So good.
In the scripture, we find, naked and unashamed. We
Yeah.
find how Jesus accepted us at our worst.
Yep.
Yeah.
And actually went the step beyond. So modeling for us how to do it. I use this phrase from a secular movie. We try not to be religious and try to appeal to people so that they can engage in the healing
Sure.
process. And there's this movie, Shall We Dance, that, there's some issues and the wife hires a private detective, to find out what's going on with the husband. And when she finds out that it's not a big deal, whatever, she says to the detective, I don't need you anymore. And he said, well, why? And she says something along these lines, that there are billions of people on the planet. What does one life matter to anyone? I mean, there's so many of us. She says, in a married relationship, you promise that you're going to witness that one life and that you're going to be that person that, is cheering on and is like bringing that. And she realizes that she needs to be that for her husband. And I find that to be so enlightening.
You understand now why I married this woman?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Does that make sense?
Because I've been witnessing your life.
I gained a witness to my life.
Yeah.
It's as poetic as it sounded when you're describing to Trever, it's such a reality. I mean, it's such a truth. We all need to be witness.
Yeah.
We need someone to
see
care,
us.
to pour over us and to notice us.
Yeah, to love us.
And that takes effort and time
does.
and choice, and I'm sure you see this all the time, that people, I'm not in love with that person anymore. Well, it's because you're not choosing.
Right.
Like, the feeling stopped like 3 days after you got back from the honeymoon.
Yeah.
And it comes and goes, and it's all due to, connected to the level of reciprocation of engagement and
Well,
mutuality.
yeah. At the beginning of any relationship, it's more effortless, because everything's so new.
Yeah.
So the newness of the relationship brings up the whole rush, adrenaline even. But then as time goes by, you might feel that you're getting stuck. Maybe because you have fallen into this routine and this, every day the same. So that's where it's going to require a little more effort to keep the flame alive.
I'm sure I won't get in too much trouble for telling the story, but when I proposed to my wife, I thought that it would be a good idea to gather 26 of our closest friends. It probably wasn't that much, and go out of town.
You have 26 friends?
Ouch. Combined with her friends. And so we go up to Breckenridge, and it was a mess of a day. Like, everything was just so frustrating. There were people that wanted to do their own thing, even though they knew what was happening. She was grumpy with me. I was grumpy with her. Like, it was not a good day. We were really frustrated with each other. And I think there is something really powerful about proposing to her on that day, because it was that ultimate, like, we're both really pissed at each other, and this has not been an enjoyable day, and we want it to be over.
Okay. I'm just taking your
don't
words.
make it a practice.
I'm just taking your words.
But it was saying, like, even in this day, in this moment that is not great, like, probably not the worst, but like, with it,
I choose you.
I choose you, and you choose me as well, and that's so powerful, because I think that there's a lot of messiness. I mean, sex is messy. It is messy, and complex and messy, and feelings are complex and messy, and it's not always, pain-free, any part of life, and being able to accept all of the yuck and the like those things, with all of the beauty and the wonderful. I think that is such a perfect description of love and acceptance.
I see the value in that, because actually my proposal, different than yours, I got an arrangement of flowers. And in the card, he said, "Would you marry me?" And he wasn't even there.
You gotta twist things around. Well, that wasn't that was part of it.
He's grown from there.
My real proposal happened in front of our church leaders.
Yes.
They were like wrapping up this elders meeting, whatever, my pastor and some of the elders. And I just happened to live across that house from one of the elders from the church. And then Denisa was at home. I saw them. I mean, I was the worship leader. I mean, come on. I should have some, access. So I pulled Denisa with me. Come on, let's go across the street. And I said, so guys, we have something to tell you.
Yes, and I didn't even know.
She did not even know what I was going to say.
I'm like,
and then I said, well, Denisa and I have decided that we're going to start to get to know each other better. Meaning we're dating now. And she was, but I knew though. I mean, I wasn't just jumping into the abyss. I knew what I was doing. I knew her heart, and I knew she was already.
But what you say though is so important, because people try, our nature is to see all the negatives, all the weight, or everything that doesn't work. We actually in therapy try to focus our couples into the strengths. Yeah. So, you build a marriage based on your strength. There's always going to be weaknesses.
And I think we know what those are too. We don't need to be reminded of them.
Yeah. And even if we're working at those weaknesses, our focus should be on what is working and the great things that we do find in each other. I think that's what brings some of the hope and the fuel for you to engage and continue going.
We are creators of atmospheres. I've always preached this. I've always believed it. You open your mouth, something's gonna have some effect.
Sure.
Your words are gonna have some effect in someone else. So I feel like, why not then create with the use of our words, our actions, our attitude, because we can be very, I mean, through a look, I can send like a million wrong messages, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that happens a lot in a relationship, a lot of friction, a lot of resentfulness coming from attitudes. It's not necessarily the words,
right?
It's what's
all
inside, contempt, right? So if we continue to pour that into a relationship, you're not going to get something positive. So we like to focus, what is your strength? What is my strength? Let's just merge those strengths and make it better us.
Yeah, that's good.
Love that.
So with the time we have left, how can a couple that is going, okay, yes, this is speaking to me, maybe we're in crisis mode, or we just know that something's off. Like, how do we begin this journey towards healing, towards thriving as a couple?
I think as a first step, is just realizing that we cannot take as a personal attack, even failed attempts, because we have there's some goodness in us. God has gifted us. Each human being has a portion of that goodness that, when enhanced and put into practice, is going to create great results.
Yeah.
So instead of like thinking that, this woman is against me, there's something against me, you have to turn that mindset. And why not think, she wants something good out of this relationship. There's something good that we're striving, that we're trying to get here, and that kind of brings that positive attitude, a positive perspective, because keeping that negativity that we're already surrounded by, I think is going to destroy. It's just going to destroy. But if we shift around and we say, she means well, she means good, he means good, I mean, he just doesn't know, let's just learn. And that's when you actually seek help outside and outsource, because
and something important, we hear this in every aspect of life. We cannot expect different results doing the same thing.
Right,
so obviously what we've been doing hasn't been helping the relationship. It hasn't changed it. So we need to think, okay, maybe it's time to reach out and get professional help. And I always say, even if you're going to reach out for help, get some accountability. Who is your best friend couple, like that older couple that is kind of like a parent kind of couple? We should all have a couple that has a few years ahead of us. We should always find that, to get that wisdom, someone that is gonna love on us but challenge us. Reach out and say, we do need help, and maybe together you can find the resource. Who's the therapist, or what is the avenue that you're gonna pursue. But we need to do something different if we want different outcome.
So how can people find you? So if this is interesting to them and they want to maybe do an intensive or explore some of this. I mean, we know as a practice at Mayfield where we're limited, and we know that we can do some marriage counseling, but when it comes to this kind of stuff, we want to be able to support you all and your ministry and your practice. So how would we find you? How would our listeners find you if they want to connect with you?
Thank you, Mark and Trever. Our website is ccicounseling.com.
Okay.
ccicounseling.com. We're at every social media at Pastor Jorge Suarez. Check out for the spelling.
we'll make sure we get it right.
Please, we'll link it in the description.
Denisa Suarez.
Denisa Suarez Oficial. She's the Spanish version.
Believe it or not, my name was already taken.
Really?
Denisa and Suarez. Like, what are the odds? But so I'm Denisa Suarez Oficial.
And then we love to work as in bring the couple to couple therapy. Of course, we work together, and then they come in for several hours. We'd rather do the work in bulk. Sure. I think we really see the results, and we have a very extremely high success rate in our couples coming.
When it comes to these issues, doing 1 hour a week before you get to something, and we typically lose one or the other, because by the third session we still haven't even dove into anything. Right. But if you set apart 10-15 hours, we're gonna get to something. You're gonna see some goals.
You don't have a choice. You're gonna get to something.
Yes.
Like, this
well,
is
you
good.
get tired after like the fourth hour, and so there's some of those
defenses.
Yes.
Breakthroughs. We see a lot of breakthroughs.
That's awesome.
What we want. We want people to move past, where they're stuck.
Yeah. And to give them tools that they can put in practice and see, and then be encouraged. Okay, so maybe they know what they're doing.
Yeah, right.
Well, we'll put all that stuff in the links and stuff, but we appreciate you both and your friendship and just doing things side by side. So thanks for being on the show with us these last 2 weeks.
Thank you, guys.
We love you too.
We cannot, thank you. We cannot wait till COVID is over so we can get back to some face-to-face therapy.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you for joining us on Candid Conversations. We are so glad that you were here today, and we hope that if something came up for you that piqued your interest or that you have more questions about, you feel the freedom to call Mayfield Counseling Centers. We're not just here for people in Colorado Springs. We want to help everybody we can. So if you have any questions, email us at candid@mayfieldcounseling.com, or you can check out our website, YouTube channel, or Facebook page, where we post resources on a pretty consistent basis. We'd love to help you in whatever we can. Feel free to reach out.